Canada, our home. I'm just playing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ground and Pound Podcast, the show where, as always, we're hitting you with them elbows of knowledge. And I am joined by my co-host, Carlos. What's happening, Carlos?
Absolutely nothing, brother. Let's get into these fights.
Hell yeah. UFC 315, Belal Muhammad taking on Jack Della Maddalena was live last night. And if you missed it, don't worry, because the Ground and Pound Podcast has got you covered. We're going to go through every single card on the entire event, starting with the early prelims. And kicking off the early prelims, we had the name that I always struggle to get out, but it's Begzat Almakhan, and he kicked things off in the best way possible, ladies and gentlemen. If you missed it, we're going to let you know. He came with the uppercut, and Brad Katona didn't see it coming. He ran right into the uppercut, first round knockout for Begzat, and I know it definitely put a smile on my friend Carlos's face here, so I'm going to let him tell you all about this performance. How did you see the performance? How did you see the fight going, Carlos?
Well, we pretty much know that Brad Katona is like, he's got good abilities, he's got good skill, the good base, but the problem is he can't really put people away. So that leaves always the opening for him to get slept like this or lose a decision. Almakhan comes ready to throw heat, and I'm always a big fan of that. So I was very happy because Katona seems like kind of a douchey guy. It was very nice to see him get put out. Superman, not so much.
Yep. I guess Almakhan must be his kryptonite for sure. But, like I had said on the slide here, Kazakhstan in this hole, because he came out, he was swinging. He looks really good on the feet. I said to Carlos, during this event, I think this guy's going to be a problem. He had a good showing against Umar, which obviously people were very high on him for this fight. Carlos and I both picked him against here with Brad Katona. I think this guy's a problem, so he's definitely one to watch out for. I thought he was going to get a bonus, man. Let's be honest. This guy finished a guy in Brad Katona, UFC vet, who's never been finished before, and he doesn't get a $50K bonus? What's that about? So I was kind of surprised by that. I thought he was going to get $50K, help my guy out here from Kazakhstan, Dana. But came in here, knocked a guy out that's not been finished. And I honestly think Brad Katona got what he deserved. He's pretty smug on the Ultimate Fighter, and I know that he made the Ground and Pound podcast pretty happy here. So happy to kick things off, and that was pretty much the sentiment of the whole card of how this card went, ladies and gentlemen. So great start to this one. And next up, we had Lee taking on Daniel Santos, and this one was an absolute banger. I'm surprised that one of these two guys didn't get a finish. Santos came in here short notice and was able to get it done. Lee, I think he just kind of fucked around a little bit too much and got found out, to be honest. Lee's looked good in his previous fights, but this one and his last one where he got finished, he's just not looked great. This is what I was going to ask Carlos, and I don't know if you guys agree at home, but if you watch this fight, and you said, tell me which guy you thought took this fight on short notice, who would you say took the fight on short notice?
The person I would say is probably, just by looking at appearance, I would have probably went with Santos, only because it looks like he didn't have enough time to cut the weight in a good way, because he looked a little softer in the midsection than usual. But, stepping up in weight class, he wanted to, I think, move up to 45 is what I'm getting from the commentary team. And I think that he's going to be a problem in this weight class because his cardio was there. He had good head movement. He had great combinations. And, he slips punches perfectly. I thought he had a master class on the feet for Lee.
Yeah. I'll be honest, when I watched this, I thought Lee started to slow down. He did not look good after a round and a half. I thought that he was the one that looked like he was on short notice. But I agree with you. I think Santos looks good, even on short notice. This is clearly his weight class. His cardio looked good. Commentary team had a lot to say. He can strike. He can grapple. 3-1 now in the UFC as well. So let's see what the future holds for Daniel Santos here at this new weight class. And that's 2 in a row now Lee's lost. So streaky for the Korean Tiger. Hopefully he doesn't turn out to be a pussycat. And next up, we had, this one was funny. I don't know why I enjoyed this one so much. I'm a sick fuck, I guess. Marc-Andre Barriault is able to get the first round finished here against Bruno Silva. And even though Carlos and I both picked Bruno Silva, there was something very satisfying about a fighter being able to get the fighter out of there or their opponent out of there in the first round, taking him out by a stretcher. I wish Silva all the best. I hope that there's no serious long-term injuries. But when a fighter, you hear a lot of fighters in press conferences, they say, you're going to be carried out on a stretcher. I'm going to send you to hospital. Well, that's exactly what Marc-Andre Barriault did. looked good doing it. Got the 50K bonus. Carlos, what did you think of the power bar? And did you expect him to get a first round finish?
I actually expected him to get finished. I thought it was going to come down to who landed first. And I thought that Bruno was going to land first. But Marc-Andre Barriault came in great shape, got him clinched up against the cage. Bruno had nowhere to go, dropped a bomb of an elbow and put him out. And, like you said earlier, like it's not great to see people get carried out like that. But should he really be in the UFC? He's had plenty of wars. He never really comes out on top. And get him put out by somebody like Marc-Andre Barriault. He's just a little inconsistent, but he's not a bad fighter. I would say, I think it's time for, what's his name, for Silva to be out of here.
Yeah. Silva's got a little bit of rust to him, that's for sure. I heard them say something about Silva got his face fractured in the fight against Alex Pereira, which was some time ago, and he hasn't actually looked good since then. So I don't know if it's something psychological going on with him, but you never really want to see a guy get carried out on a stretcher. But for some reason, I found it ever so satisfying this week. But hats off to Marc-Andre Barriault. He did get it done. Enjoy the 50 G's, baby. Next up, we had Navajo Stirling getting the decision victory against Aiemann here. And I got to be honest, this one was a little bit shaky back and forth for a while until the third round when Stirling was able to rally and almost get a finish. Aiemann out on his feet. I thought this one, I was sweating this one a little bit. He was in one of my biggest plays, my biggest bets this week. He was able to cash for us as one of our confident legs in the parlay, but I was a little bit worried. And he got that, I think it was a straight right he was able to land, or the uppercut, and he just wobbled him. Aiemann fell to the ground and was trying to recover. I think there was a referee was stepping in, but I think that he maybe at one point could have stopped it. Honestly, I like the fact that he gave him an opportunity to fight back. Navajo Stirling gets it done. Carlos, what did you think of the matchup? Did it play out how you thought?
I definitely didn't play out how I thought. I didn't think there was going to be as much grappling from Stirling as he did. The other thing is I believe that was a great tactic that he used because he was able to at least suck some of the energy out of Erslan and try to take out some of the big power that he's got. But what I did notice is late in this fight, Stirling was still giving him respect because Erslan's still very dangerous. He's got a lot of power, a lot of pop, even a lot of snap on his strikes late into the fight. So he had to play it safe, and he ended up dropping him with that big right hand at the end. I thought he was going to get him out of there. Didn't work out for him, but he did get the decision. I was happy for it.
I just wanted to point out as well, it's worth mentioning that I was impressed with Sterling's grappling. I didn't think he could wrestle like that. I thought, coming in, he's just pretty much a kickboxer, city kickboxing. His wrestling's not bad for a guy that's pretty much known as a kickboxer. So that's something to watch out for. I think at this weight class, I think it's is it 205? Yeah, 205. It's not a deep division, you know what I mean? Somebody that can, is a pretty decent striker that has finishing potential, city kickboxing, good takedown defense, can mix in a bit of grappling. He could go far. So we'll see what the future holds for him. Aiemann now, 0-2, two fairly lopsided losses here. So we'll see what he does and see if he's got one more fight left on his contract. We'll see how that goes for him. But Stirling, ultimately, I feel like he's a little bit of a dark horse. His performance got overshadowed by some other performances on this card, but he's one to maybe look out for. And I'm happy we got to this one soon because if you, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not sitting down, sit down. And if you're, if your volume's up on your speakers, make sure you turn down because this one might get a little bit violent. This one is the epitome of fucking delusional. I don't really understand why. There's so many things wrong with this. If guys, for everybody that didn't know at home, I'm almost like lost for words in what to say about this one. But basically, this fight should have been scored 29-28 for Aaran Carlos. One of the judges, who I'm now going to name, is Pasquale Procropi, and also Sal D'Amato. He's a fucking retard. I don't understand what the hell's going on with this guy. Basically, one of them scored it. Pasquale scored it 30-27 for Bukauskas. Aaran landed something like 20-8 in the first round, a significant strike. Second round, Aaran again 20-9. I think Carlos and I said before we got on here, and somehow they gave it 30-27 to Bukauskas. There is absolutely no way that Bukauskas won this fight. It's 29-28. It's an easy judges scorecard. And I was reading online, or I was talking to one of my buddies during the event, and he actually said to me, this judge he's a boxing judge. He's only done 2 MMA fights, only 2 MMA events, and they have him on arguably maybe one of the biggest pay-per-views so far in the UFC at UFC 315. How are we still doing this in 2025? There are so many better people that could do the judging. There are so many people that could go in here and get this right, but we've got morons that come in and get it wrong time and time again. Now, Carlos and I said before the event, before we went live today, part of the problem is, that guy could have got the scorecard wrong. The other 2 could have got it right, and it wouldn't have been a problem. He'd have got a win, but it would have been a bad judge's scorecard, right? Problem is, dumbass Sal D'Amato decides to score round 2 for Modestas Bukauskas and screws the Ion Cutelaba over. So, not happy with that at all. I think honestly, some of these people need to be investigated, or they just need to get a higher quality of judge. Do better. It's holding back our sport. Carlos, what do you think, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, just because you're a judge and you judge in boxing doesn't mean that you could do it in MMA, because it's clearly shown that the reason why he gave him those rounds is because he landed the cleaner punches. Okay, were the punches considerably effective? Like, did they hurt Ion? No, they didn't. He was perfectly okay throughout the fight. You got to take into account ring generalship. So he's moving Bukauskas around the ring. Bukauskas is very inactive, and he threw a couple punches here and there and probably landed clean half of the ones that he threw, those 8 punches. So that leaves it down to 4, whereas Ion was landing leg kicks, he was landing punches, and a couple elbows up against the cage. So I'm like, listen, if you're going to talk about who's being busy and you come from boxing, you have to remember there's more weapons than punches. You got to take into effect, okay, I don't know what a leg kick is, but he landed it. I'm going to have to score it for him. He's moving this guy around the ring. I have to score it for him because for some reason this guy's given room to him. So it's like, just take into account everything that's happening. And it's pretty cut and dry that Ion would have won that fight. Now, one of the judges scored at 30-27 to Cutelaba, Modestas Bukauskas. He actually had a good third round, so I can give him that one. But other than that, I don't know how you could score the first 2 rounds for him.
Yeah, 100%. I wanted to find a quote that I saw earlier of what Ion Cutelaba said after the fight and what he thought of the decision. And to paraphrase what he said, he basically was saying, like, the system will fail sometimes, but I will not fail myself. I will keep my chin high, stay positive, sort of thing. So, Ion, you got screwed, brother. We got your back. We know what's going on. We need to check these people's bank accounts and stay up, brother, because that was ridiculous. Messing with the Hulk. But on a positive note, the Ground and Pound podcast, we had a Ground and Pound podcast favorite not only get her black belt, not only get the win, but she got the first round submission and 50 G's in her back pocket. We had Jasudavicius taking on Jessica Andrade, and she mopped the floor with Jessica Andrade. She came out, she was popping her in the chin. She showed off her striking. I'm going to let Carlos talk a little bit about her striking in a minute, but was able to get the first round submission. And I said to Carlos, I'm surprised that she came out here and made it look so easy, but good for her. On to bigger and better things. She got her black belt as well. And all I wanted to touch upon here is I'm happy that they gave her a black belt after she got a submission, and they don't do that stupid shit where, they come in and someone gets a knockout and they go, oh, jiu-jitsu, black belt. It's like, okay, like she knocked her out. Like, I hate when they do that. I don't know if other people feel the same way. Let me know in the comments if you don't like it when they do that. But she came in, she got the submission, she got her black belt, she got the 50K. Happy for Jasmine here on the Ground and Pound podcast. She is a favorite. But what did you think of her striking, Carlos? What did you think of the performance?
First of all, I just have to say, if you don't think Alex Pereira getting a black belt after a knockout is legit, you're all wrong. That guy is 100% a black belt. Anyway, I'm going to say I actually love the performance. The problem is I actually didn't think it was going to go. I was going to be this short, actually. Like, I thought it was going to be more of a back and forth. I thought Andrade was going to be the little pit bull that she is and get in her face, but she ended up kind of just giving into her position. And Jasudavicius landed 2 right hands that seemed to pop her head back. And I just remember her saying in one of her pre-fight interviews, she's like, I've been dropping people over in Thailand when she's going to do kickboxing. I wasn't believing that at all. I thought she was trolling. I thought, she was just making shit up to make Andrade like feel uncomfortable. Fucking it worked. So she actually can put people out. So she actually hurt her a couple times, stung her, and then took her to the ground, choked her out. Beautiful job.
Yep. Suck it, booze. Ground and Pound podcast. Jasmine getting it done. I loved it. It was great. And I'm interested to see. I mean, she's not far away from the top now. I don't know what Jessica Andrade was ranked. I probably should have looked at that beforehand, but I'm interested to see who they give her. She's on a big win streak, so we'll see if Jasmine gets a title shot soon in the near future. And that brought us to our featured prelim on the card. As you can tell, I'm a little still wound up about that Modestas Bukauskas decision, but we have Mike Malott, the soy boy, the Canadian, who I didn't pick. I thought Charles Radtke was going to get the knockout. Both Carlos and I wanted to see him get flatlined. We both picked blood brother pride in Charles Radtke to get it done. Unfortunately, it didn't go our way, but Mike Malott, man, what can be said? I mean, he is talented in some respect. He is pretty decent, but I don't really rate him highly. He gets on the mic and after the first round knockout and talks about, positivity, we're not going to boo, and, I don't want to hurt people's feelings. Fuck all of that. You're in the cage. You're there to fight. Good performance from him at the end of the day, but one thing I didn't like is that he was complaining after the fight, saying about, why didn't I get a bonus? I don't know. Take a look around, Mike. There was a lot of other good fights on the card that you could also make the case for. Sucks to suck, buddy. Yes, I'm a hater. Yes, I picked Charles Radtke, and I thought he was going to knock him out. Go figure, it didn't happen my way. But one thing I will say as well, the vicious follow-up shots that Malott had, there was some intent there, bouncing Charles Radtke's head off the canvas there, and the referee steps in. But hats off to Malott. He got it done. Second round knockout. But Carlos, what did you think of the fight overall? And what does the future hold for Mike Malott, Carlos?
He's not a bad fighter. He's pretty good. And the more he's getting in there, he's putting things together. That's great. I don't know. It just doesn't look like he does anything that stands out too great. He's like one of those guys that's just going to lay in the cut. And if he's going to make a big push, like now would be the time. But I just don't think that's the case. I mean, Radtke is... I thought he was good, and I thought he had the hammers to take out Malott. Maybe he did. He just couldn't break the distance. That little bit of reach, he just couldn't get through it. There's a little height or reach advantage for Malott. I didn't expect Mr. Chuck Buffalo with a nickname like that to go out that quickly. I mean, I was hoping that he was going to put Mike Malott out because he looks like one of those douchey 80s characters, you know what I mean? The preppy kid in school that's always putting down the kid from the other side of the tracks. He just has that vibe. Maybe he's a great guy. I don't know. He rubbed me the wrong way. So good for him getting it done in Canada. You can't feel bad for him getting it done in his hometown. But am I happy about it? No. I would have rather seen him out on the mat.
Yeah. For sure. He looks like Mike Malott reminds me of somebody that should be like singing like Grease Lightning or something. You know what I mean? He should be in like an episode of Grease or something. I don't know.
He does.
But yeah, unfortunately that pick didn't go our way, but we'll see. We'll see if we get our revenge here on Mike Malott. But that brings us all the way to the main card, ladies and gentlemen. And if you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button if you're enjoying the content here on the Ground and Pound podcast. And I just want to let you know that every like and subscribe does go towards getting proper judges and revenge for Aaran Cutelaba. So those donations would be greatly appreciated moving forward. And a like and a subscribe is one step closer to justice, ladies and gentlemen. And justice was served for BSD this weekend. And Benoit Saint-Denis came in. He got the job done here against Kyle Prepolec. Stepping in obviously on short notice. Benoit Saint-Denis was able to get the takedowns, get the submission, and I have to admit there was some hairy moments. I thought BSD doesn't necessarily look as good as he did previously in other fights before. He kind of looked like a world beater, super tough, but I don't know, man. He's taken some damage against Poirier, damage against who was the guy you said to me earlier about the Brazilian guy? What's his name? Elijah Zaleski dos Santos.
Elijah Santos, yep.
Yeah, he's taken a ton of damage now with all these guys. He just doesn't look like he feels confident on the feet, but got the takedown, did what he was supposed to do, but I kind of question a little bit about him moving forward. He didn't quite look right. There was a moment in this fight where, if you missed it, they were on the feet, they were striking. Kyle kind of clipped him a couple of times, and BSD kind of looked like he was having a little bit of PTSD, but yeah, got it done, got the submission. But Carlos, what do you think of Benoit Saint-Denis' performance, and what do you think about him moving forward?
I think what he's got to do is like not that you can't scrap the stand up, okay? You still got to try to use it a little bit to cut the distance. What I think he needs to do is focus on what exactly I could do in the stand up to maximize getting this fight to the ground, like cutting the distance, getting the takedowns. And his bread and butter is mostly like the grappling department. Try to get down there, look for submissions, more ground and pound. That's more in his wheelhouse. I would love to see that. I think he's got some potential. I think he's got a lot of talent. I just think trying to stand and bang with people, even trying to fight somebody, what was his nickname? Killshot. I'm like, he didn't look like a world beater. And, you could see that he got buckled twice by him. So stay with your bread and butter. Get it to the ground. There's nothing wrong with that. Make the fight easy for yourself.
Amen. Amen. And that brought us to arguably the worst, well, I don't want to say worst performance because I do like Silva. I think that Natália Silva is definitely a specimen when it comes to the women's division. Very fast, good kicks, tough to hit, but probably the worst performance on the card from a fan perspective, that's for sure. Fighting on the outside, Alexa Grasso was having a hard time, kind of planting her feet and landing. And Silva did everything she was supposed to do. This fight strategically kind of played out to me very similar to the Yusuf Zalal Calvin Kattar fight, that we saw not that long ago. Zalal fighting on the outside, being a road runner, while Grasso or Calvin is trying to, basically plant their feet and land and try and catch up to their opponent. But Silva did what she's supposed to do. She's got nice kicks. I think her high kick and her front kick is very nice. She's got nice timing on her hands. And she did what she's supposed to do to get the win. It just wasn't a very fan-friendly style, that's for sure. You could see Alexa Grasso was getting very, very frustrated. But Silva gets another win. She's on a big win streak. Probably going to be one of the next people. Well, I think she is going to be the next title challenger because I think Alexa Grasso was ranked number 1 in the division. So be interesting to see what the UFC does. It's kind of a sour performance to give someone a title shot from. But what did you think, Carlos, overall? Do you think she deserves a title shot, or do you think that she might need to prove herself a little more?
The fact that the fight was boring was only because it was so one-sided. She was keeping so much distance in between that Grasso didn't have time to get off. That means Grasso's got to learn to cut off the cage a little bit more, and she's got to learn how to close the distance better. But when it comes to Silva, she did what she was supposed to do. Come in and out, hesitation, quick movements. That's how she fights. I have no problem with her performance. What I do think is she ready to step up for someone like Shevchenko? I'm like, I don't think so. But is she going to give a great performance on the feet? She will. If Shevchenko wants to stand with her, that's going to be a little bit of a problem. But I don't think she has the ability to get by the grappling of her. But, I mean, I'll watch it. You know that. You're going to watch it too. But Silva, great performance. I love the explosive factor that she has. She's very quick, very elusive. Grasso, you'll get back on it. You just got to get back in the gym and learn those little bit of fundamentals, and you'll be ready to go.
Yeah, for sure.
Always a fan of both.
Yeah, exactly. I think Grasso as well, she is very good. I think it was just a bad stylistic matchup. And I will say, Natália Silva is an absolute sweetheart. So I'm not taking anything away from her performance. But yeah, it's kind of tough. I was hoping she might get a finish. Then it kind of validates the title shot. But we'll see moving forward.
On a night like that, just, when the fight wasn't as back and forth as most of these other ones were, it's funny to call that the boring fight, but it was good.
Yeah. That's the thing as well. This card, I got to admit, this was, as you can tell by the way we're talking about it, so many great fights, so many great performances, so many finishes that it wasn't that was a bad fight. It was just that there were so many other good ones. It kind of outshadowed or outclassed it in some respect. But this one, if you missed this one, José Aldo taking on Zahabi. Aaron Zahabi was able to get it done. They gave him the second round and the third round. I actually thought that Aldo took rounds 1 and 2. Round 2 is very, very close. Round 3, I thought that they were going to give it a 10-8 to Zahabi and end up calling it a draw. I didn't hate the decision, though, because round 2 was very, very close. And for those of you that missed it, you get a chance to, and you don't want to necessarily sift through every single fight. This is one I would recommend going back and watching. In round 3, Aldo got taken down or kind of just fell to his back in exhaustion, and for the 2.5, 3 minutes was just getting absolutely wailed on. And it was crazy. Honestly, a very, very electric fight, very entertaining. I feel bad for José Aldo coming off of that Batista loss, that bullshit Batista loss that I absolutely raised my blood pressure for a couple of months back. But yeah, unlucky. Zahabi ended up winning. I don't hate the decision, and I think Aldo's done now. I think he's talking about he can't do this anymore. I'm not sure if he's necessarily 100% committed to retiring or if he just felt emotional in the moment. But unfortunately for Aldo, it didn't go his way, and the cardio didn't hold up. Don't know if it's to do with the weight cut and him having to have the fight move to a catch weight at 145. But hopefully we see Aldo again, man. I'd like to see him get a victory before he does decide to retire. And hats off to Zahabi for an electric performance in his home country. But Carlos, what did you think of this one, and how did you score it?
Great fight, and the beginning half of the second round, I think, was all Jose Aldo. I believe that the reason why Zahabi probably got it was the second half of that second round. He was actually coming on a little bit more. The pressure was getting there. And I think that's something that Aldo sensed. So in the third round, he kind of went guns blazing and gassed himself out a little bit. When he saw that Zahabi was hurt just a little bit, I think he emptied the tank a little too quickly. And it left him getting battered for, what was it, about 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes. He ended up like just in survival mode, just trying to get through it. So, I mean, Aldo, legend, love him. He's given me tons of great fights, hours of entertainment, but maybe it is time to let it go.
Yeah, for sure. That 2.5, 3 minutes probably felt like an eternity to Aldo because he kept looking up at the clock.
Course.
But it felt like such a long time. And I also want to point out he may have got away with a little soccer kick while his grounded opponent, but we're not going to talk about that. He ended up losing anyway. But yeah, unlucky for Aldo, man, but great fight nonetheless. And that brings us to our co-main event, ladies and gentlemen, and it is bragging time for me. Dog of the week hit Valentina Shevchenko. Dog of the week got it done for us. Our favorite betting underdog. For those that you saw it in our best bets video, the video that I bring out, this was my favorite underdog on the whole card, and Valentina just showed her that there's levels to this shit. As she likes to say, man, I am the complete mixed martial artist. And she did. She showed exactly that. She popped her nose in the first round. Manon Fiorot's nose was leaking in that first round. She dropped her, I believe, in round 4 or 3. I'm not 100% sure which round it was. But I think Fiorot went to the grappling as the bigger, stronger girl, as the commentary team likes to mention over and over again, as Carlos and I kept talking about earlier. But honestly, Shevchenko looked like she went in there to prove a point. She kept her base. She didn't back up very often, and the only time that she got backed up was when Fiorot came into the clinch. And the best moments were all had by Shevchenko. No doubt that she won this one to get it done here as our dog of the week, and hopefully we can keep that streak continuing on the channel. Thank you, Shevchenko, for showing that you are still the female GOAT. Carlos, what did you think of the performance? And did you know that Manon Fiorot is a very big physical specimen? Did you know that?
After listening to the commentary team, I figured that out. I think they said it about 4 or 5 times in each round. How big she is, how imposing she is, how much bigger she is. Look at her physique. I mean, that's great. You don't have to validate her. She won enough fights. She got her title shot. I believe it. I know she's talented, and I know she's going to be back for another title shot at some point. The problem is I just knew that Valentina, or at least thought at the time that Valentina was not done yet. And she's so technical. She's so talented. It was getting me a little nervous, though. I couldn't tell if she was going to actually get Manon Fiorot to the ground or not because, she's so big and imposing. She actually stuffed a lot of the takedowns, but she did a pretty good job getting her down. Fiorot did a great job, actually, with takedown defense as well. And it's funny. I thought that she was going to get the better of her in the striking exchange, and Valentina ended up getting the better of the two. So I thought it was a great fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I liked, on a completely different side note, I thought the Venom fight kit that she wore was that's pretty sick. I thought that was pretty dope that they gave her those. They look pretty cool. And hats off to her for getting it done. But Valentina, I love you. Call me. And that brought us to our main event of the evening. Belal Muhammad taking on Jack Della Maddalena. And we were fucking spoiled this weekend, guys. If you missed this event, you really missed a good one. We have new Jack Della Maddalena winning the title against Belal Muhammad. Belal Muhammad decided to show off his Canelo hands, quote unquote. And he found out that he was a few hands short of a victory, that's for sure. Jack put on an absolute performance. He won the first 2 rounds clear as day. Belal Muhammad, you could make a case for rounds 3 and 4. Jack was able to come, back in round 5. Even the rounds that in round 3 that you could make a case that Jack probably won that one as well. Carlos and I kind of had it, 4-1 to Jack, or you make a case for a 3-2. But I just felt like in this one, and Carlos and I talked about it before we got on, I feel like Belal's thought process in this coming in was, I'm going to strike. I'm going to show people that I'm not just a grappler, that I'm not just a wrestler. He came out. It didn't go how he wanted to, but because of the fact that he wasn't able to pressure Jack Della Maddalena backwards, he wasn't able to implement his wrestling and get him to back up against the fence, which is where he sets up most of his takedowns. We saw that in the Leon Edwards fight. When he can back Leon Edwards up against the fence, Leon does do a lot of backing up. It's easy for him to get those takedowns. Jack just didn't want to take a backward step, so it was very difficult for Belal to set up his wrestling. And I think by then, rounds 3, 4, and 5 come. He's already been beaten up. He's already been bloodied. I think Jack hits very hard. He's a natural-born finisher. He's a big guy. And I think the damage was already done. So by the time that Belal thought about wrestling, it was kind of already out the window. So he kind of just had to settle with the game plan of becoming, Belal the Canelo boxer. And it didn't play out for him. And I think if he could go back, I think from round 1, day 1 of training camp, we're wrestling, we're not boxing. I think he just pushes the pace and he just constantly shoots takedowns. I think that would have been his best path to victory. By the time he was able to mix into wrestling, I think Jack was already quite wise to it, that that's what was coming, and was able to do a good job of sprawling and getting back to his feet with urgency, and great performance. I can't take nothing away from Jack Della Maddalena. Did what he was supposed to do. Carlos, what did you think of the performance? And both guys got 50K bonus for fight of the night. What did you think of the performance, Carlos? And did you think Belal came in with the right game plan?
I believe he was going to come in and do some stand-up, back and forth with Maddalena for like the first round, at least halfway through the first. Then I thought he was going to start going for takedowns, trying to, as he said, break his will a little bit, because it could be very, I'm trying to think of the word, but and it was very discouraging when somebody keeps going for a takedown. They may not be getting it, but it's just weighing on you, and you're like, I can't get off, I can't do that, I can't get my shots off, I just got to worry about the takedown. With that said, Belal being the champion, he doesn't really have to prove anything to anyone. He's had great finishes in the past. I mean, he beat Leon Edwards, had some stand-up moments in that too, a lot of grappling. And with, what's his name? Who's the other grappler? Sean
Brady.
Sean Brady. He pretty much beat him up on the feet the entire time too. So there's nothing that he has to prove, in my eyes at least, about his stand-up. You have good enough stand-up to stay in the pocket. Now you're going to go up against a guy whose bread and butter is stand-up, and you're thinking that you're going to outdo him. I think, like you said, he waited a little too long. Jack got a little bit more confidence, knew that the shots were coming out of desperation. He could see them. And, he timed them and was able to get back up. And great performance on the takedown defense, even though he didn't have to use it much. But getting back up without the cage was perfect. Like, he got up in the middle of the cage without having to use the cage walk to get up. I mean, that is some high-level grappling in itself. So Jack Della Maddalena, he proved a little something to everyone. And if Islam is going to fight him, I'm going to tell you, I think Islam's got a problem keeping this guy down. And when the later rounds come, Islam tends to get tired around round 3, midway through. If he can't get Jack out of there before then, he is going out.
Yeah, that would be an interesting matchup, especially with the weight discrepancy. I would like to see that one because Jack's proven, I think, now that his takedown defense deficiency is no longer a deficiency. And before we wrap things up, I just want to say one thing about Belal Muhammad, that I do question whether Belal thought about proving himself to the haters. There's no secret out there that a lot of people kind of just fucking hate on Belal Muhammad for no reason. I think it's stupid. Like, oh, remember the name, oh, I forget the guy, decision machine, all this bullshit. I don't know if he came out and just thought, I'm going to show everybody that I can get finishes, or I can show everybody I can strike. But if that was what he thought, I think that was probably his downfall, if I'm being honest, because it just wasn't the game plan coming in. And I know in the past when he trained with Khabib for the Leon fight, that Khabib wouldn't have let him go in there and just box. He would have told him, let's get to the wrestling. And all right, it would have been boring and people would have booed, but you still would have had a belt around your waist. And one thing I will say is Dana does not like Belal. He has made it very, very known that he doesn't like Belal Muhammad. So I don't think that he's necessarily going to get a title shot or a rematch anytime soon. That's another thing that he probably should have considered a little bit going in with the game plan, that once he's got a hold of this belt, it's going to be, they're going to do everything to try and take it off of him. I do think that Jack had the best performance of his life. I do think that he showed that he was definitely worthy of winning that belt that night. But Belal, I think you probably kind of screwed yourself a little bit with the game plan there, brother. So unfortunate for you, my friend. And that wraps things up for UFC 315. And just to let you guys know what we have on the channel coming up, we have the full card breakdown for Burns taking on Morales next week in the Apex. Carlos and I will be doing a full card breakdown on Tuesday, so keep an eye out for that. And before we wrap things up here, Carlos, is there anything that you want to say to the Ground and Pound listeners?
Just want to tell the guys at Ground and Pound here, the listeners and the viewers, that don't forget to like and subscribe. We love doing this stuff here, and we'd love to bring you more of this product. So please like and subscribe. That's it.
Oh, yeah. And if you didn't check out UFC 315, if you don't know, now you know, because that was a great event. Check out some of the highlights. Definitely worth watching. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.